Patient update: Camille departs. A flood of Dharma fighting horn cancer. Welcome Haladhara August 2008. Care for cows in Vrindavan. Care for cows in Vrindavan. CFC trustees Vraja Mohan Dasa Hayavalabha Dasa Amit Tulani Rakesh Rahira. Patrons Radha Jivan Dasa Suresh Vajiani. CFC staff Kurmarupa Dasa Sri Nirmal Dasa Dr. J.P. Lavanya Braja Gopal Dasa, Switzerland, Laxmi Rupa Dasi, Denmark, Isani Devi Dasi, Holland, Satyadeva Singh Radhakaran Dasa Krishnamai I Dasi Syam Hari Vijay, Ramu, Ramakisan, Mithan editor Kurmarupa Dasa. Care for cows in Vrindavana is inspired by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Dear friends, when Baba was young he liked to spar with the older bulls, and thus his neck, legs and self-confidence developed quickly, and in time he established himself as a leader among the younger bulls. This gave him certain important privileges like always getting the best eating and sitting places, being the first to get snacks handed out by guests, and so on. Periodically he would prance around the barnyard snorting, inviting other bulls to challenge his authority. Madhu was the only rival who dared answer him but would quickly be pushed back into second place. As Baba grew he learned to pull the school buses and became a teammate of the other working bulls. Upon returning from work, he continued to stay with the younger bulls and enjoy the earned privileges of his post. Unfortunately, one day as he was being shooed, he lost his patience and shook violently to free his legs from the ropes, but only managed to dislocate his rear leg at his hip. It was an injury that left him weak and unsteady, practically lame. That same day when he returned to the bullpen, Madhu noticed his weakness, defeated him and established himself as the new leader. Lesson: for the sake of protecting the herd or society, a leader who loses his prowess or competence should promptly be replaced by the next best member. Jayasri Guru, Jayasri Gopala, Jayasri Gomata. The CFC's TAF-CA-REFORCOWS.org. Care for Cows in Vrindavan is a charitable trust registered in India, USA, Holland, and Switzerland. Welcome Haladhara. The young bull is hale and hearty and is aggressive to nurse from his mother. He has been adopted by Madhava Dasa and family, who have named him Haladhara, one who wields the plough. Rohini is aloof and secretive and does not communicate much with humans, as she was treated impersonally by her former owner. Without any of us knowing it, she got pregnant and held her calf so tightly in her womb that none of us were aware of her secret. Then recently, after her morning meal, she went to sit in the field with the herd, and in the Rohini licks her newborn son affectionately while her 2-year-old daughter Ashvini examines her new brother. Afternoon returned with a beautiful bull calf trailing behind. He sports a handsome handlebar mustache and has a very expressive voice which he effectively uses to arrest the full attention of his mother. As the news spread of his arrival, Madhava Dasa and his family from Alachua decided to add him to the 2 cows they already sponsor and have named him Haladhara. Haladhara is bounding with energy and very happy to be at Care for Cows. Patient updates on Shanti is the bull who was brought in last month after being struck by a car during a monsoon rain. He has made a remarkable recovery in a short period. Dr. Lavanya so successfully sutured his head wound that the nasty gash has become almost unnoticeable. It healed with practically no infection. His right leg, which was fractured at the shank, has mended, although it is slightly twisted. The knee and ankle joints remain weak and as yet he cannot bear much weight on it, but he is hobbling around determined to improve. He stays in the same recovery pen as Vinodai and they seem to have an encouraging effect on each other. Om Shanti is one of the most gentle and cooperative patients we have yet attended to. Updates: Straight Face, Om Shanti and Vinodai Lal. Vinodai Lal was brought to us by bullock cart by a neighboring farmer in January 2008. He had 3 broken legs, and by the condition of his hooves it could be ascertained that he had not been walking for some time. His left rear leg suffered a fractured tibia and took the longest to heal. We do not know how he was injured but suspect that he had been beaten by farmers for grazing in their fields. Several bone fragments were removed from his legs and all his wounds have healed. For the last month he has been hoisted up into a standing position so he can begin to regain use of his legs. Most of his muscles have gone slack, but by being placed in a standing position they are rejuvenating, and we are hopeful that in time Vinod Lal will at least be able to stand up on his own. Radha Kund. One symptom of horn cancer is that the affected horn starts to droop. A shows Radha Kund upon arrival. B shows her with fallen horn. C demonstrates the change in the horn's position indicating cancer. Horn cancer. 7 months ago Radha Kund was sent to us by Sudhivai to be treated for a chronic prolapse which made her irritated and unfriendly. In the course of 2 months she was cured by Dr. Lavanya. With this problem solved, her appetite improved and she began to gain weight. She soon began to warm up to all of us and requested to be groomed daily. 2 weeks ago several of us noticed that her right horn was starting to droop and Dr. Lavanya was called to examine her. He found a soft spot at the base of her horn and detected an increase in temperature in the same area. These symptoms along with the lowering of the horn add up to indicate horn cancer, and he promptly scheduled her for an operation which is the only treatment known today. Our medical assistants sterilized the surgical instruments and shaved the area around the horn and laid Radha Kund on a clean soft bed of sand. Her legs were tied and Dr. Lavanya administers anesthesia, cleans the area before making incision, peels the skin away from the horn. Syama Hari cuts the horn with a wire saw, and the tumor within the horn cavity is exposed. Was administered an anesthetic intravenously. Then anesthetic was applied around the base of the affected horn and the artery that supplies blood to the area was stitched closed to reduce blood loss. Then Dr. Lavanya carefully made an incision and began to peel back the skin from the base of the horn. Once that was accomplished, the horn was removed with the use of a wire saw. The severed horn revealed a tumor which filled the horn cavity completely. Had the horn not been removed, the tumor would have extended itself into the sinus cavity and degenerated the bone and killed her. Fortunately, the horn was removed before the cancer spread into the sinus cavity. The rim of the horn was then further trimmed so the skin could be pulled over the wound and sutured. With patience, Dr. Lavanya carefully tied 24 stitches tightly closing the incision and then dressed the wound. The operation took 2 hours, after which Radha Kund, though drowsy, stood up. She has been kept in a pen with other cows who are too small to challenge her so that she does not butt heads with them. Her wound is dressed each morning and she is given ample nourishing food to help her recover. Dr. Lavanya carefully stitches the wound closed. On the 8th day after the surgery the stitches were removed. Radha Kund is in good spirits and well on her way to recovery. He is one of the most cooperative patients we have treated. Announcement: Madhuri just had her second bull calf since she has been with us. His front legs are unsteady and he was not able to stand unassisted or nurse by himself for the first 2 days. Now, however, he is able to walk about the barnyard with the other calves and sit under the neem trees. His legs are getting stronger by the day and soon it is expected that he will be roaring to establish himself as the terror of the Goshala. Madhuri Kamili departs. Kamili joined us in early 2007. She was found by Sudhivai in the Kusum Sarovara area of Govardhana. As far as we know, she was never able to stand or walk unassisted as her back legs have not functioned properly since birth. Dr. Lavanya examined Kamili and said the cause of her problem was that her ligaments were weak and the back legs overextended. To try to correct the problem, he set both of her back legs in a slightly bent position with bamboo splints and plaster casts. She wore these for 2 weeks, but when they were removed, her legs returned to a straight position. She was then taken to the Mathura Veterinary Hospital for examination and X-rays. From the X-rays, doctors were able to confirm that the bone structure in both back legs were normal, and suspect the cause of the patella, knee, being raised, and therefore locking the limb, is due to a loose tendon wrapped in a loop around muscle which overextends the leg and fixes it from moving. A number of procedures were discussed by the doctors and further investigation through surgery was proposed. Dr. Lavanya performed the first simple operation on site at CFC, cutting one of the tendons, but it was not successful in freeing the patella. After that we resigned to the fact that Kamili was going Kamili with plaster casts in the soft sling. Kamili's carers would take her out and let her sit in the sun or under trees since she liked that variety. To be unable to walk the rest of her life and tried to make her as comfortable as possible. Our health carers did their best to help her. They made a sling to support her hind quarter and would walk her around the goshala periodically. A small cart was also made to try to assist her in moving about, but it was not effective. Yet her carers still took her out and let her sit in the sun or under trees, as she liked that variety. As the months passed, her legs became stiff and atrophied and her lower spine began to curve, extending her back legs towards her face. In order to eat from her bowl, she had to extend one of her front legs straight and place her weight on the elbow of her other front leg, which would sometimes swell from the pressure. It was awkward for her and it seemed that she was rarely comfortable. Nevertheless, she somehow kept her spirits up. We would often notice how, despite her own crippled condition, she was always consoling her penmate Kala Krishna, who was also bedridden. When other injured calves were placed next to her, she would lick them affectionately. She was an emblem of kindness and compassion. During her last days, her spine began to curve more and more, making it more difficult to sit, so she would lie flat. She always had a good appetite, but gradually as her condition worsened, she lost interest in eating and quietly left her body around 4 a.m. one morning. It was sad for us to lose her service, as one always felt satisfied after helping her walk, massaging her, adjusting her pillows or cleaning up after her. She was a pleasure to be around. We pray that she is now running around Goloka Vrindavan with her tail waving high in the air. A flood of dharma. Besides the birth of 2 bull calves this month, we took in 3 abandoned bulls, creating a flood of dharma at Care for Cows. The above one, who is approximately 18 months old, had been wandering around the area feasting on the grasses that the monsoon had produced. He was sighted at our gate several times and invited in, but he preferred to run free as he is healthy. One day he was in the vicinity when the fresh grass was being delivered to our herd and ventured in to get his share. He settled in very easily and is satisfied to be here. This bull was sighted on the Vrindavan Chatakara highway after being hit by a speeding car. He was in shock, and though he suffered a serious gash below his hip and a nasty cut at the base of his tail, he ran off at full speed and we could not catch him. 4 days later we found him in the same area sitting under a tree with 3 crows pecking at the wound on his back. We managed to capture him after a substantial struggle and have begun treating his wounds. He is the most uncooperative 2-year-old patient we have today, but has made substantial improvement. His wounds should both be closed within 10 days. This 18-month-old bull was hit by a car in the village of Jait, about 8 kilometers from CFC. He is suffering from a fractured tibia and some minor lacerations. The driver of the vehicle was apprehended and his car was impounded by the police, who told him that he had to have the injured bull transported by horse cart to our facility. 2 men were dispatched to bring us the bull. Though the accident took place in the morning, the bull did not reach us until 8:30 that night. The bull is very morose and has not eaten since he arrived. His fractured leg has no open wound, but as yet we do not know how compound the fracture is. Dr. Lavanya will return tomorrow to examine the bull and direct his treatment. Mohan Lal was paid Rs.50 to transport the injured bull to CFC. Rohini Sudha and Gaurang Gapri Yaprabhus from Zurich have been thoroughly infected with the Go7 virus and are spreading it in the countries of former Yugoslavia and Russia. Their last tours took them to Serbia, Bosnia, Croatia, Samara, and St. Petersburg, where they made cultural presentations including Indian classical dance, bhajans and videos produced by CFC regarding our cow protection program in Vrindavan. They carried with them more than 350 photographs of various members of our herd, and they sold out before everyone could get one. By the selfless efforts of Rohini Sudha and Gaurang Gapriya, the abandoned cows of Vrindavan are gaining a substantial following. Judging from the photos of the tour, one can ascertain that the major symptoms of the Go7 virus are uncontrolled rapid successive inhalation and exhalation, which very closely resembles laughter, widening and brightening of the eyes, flushing of the cheeks, stretching of the lips to expose the teeth, rapid raising and lowering of the shoulders, and a euphoric feeling in the vicinity of the cardiac and pulmonary cavity. You are warned to stay away from these people unless you also want to get infected. The bliss of Go7. Thank you from the cows. May cows stay in front of me, may cows stay behind me, may cows stay on both sides of me. May I always reside in the midst of cows. Harry Bokhtavila 16.252. The cows send their heartfelt thanks to those who assisted during July 2008. Advaita Prabhu Dasa Alessandra Petrassi Anonymous Ariel Telford Carey and Byers Dace Ezermail David Kazanau David Thornton Erica Duncan Gaurn Gapri Yadasi Gina Naidu Harad Paul Julia Erdem Jagannath Rao Jeffrey Walters Jennifer Olson Keshvara Priya Dasi Kitri and Rita Waterman Crush Deepak Laxman Pujari Lilia Tonava Lisa Kubis Mariana Polinsky Mark Kenzer aka Gopi Dasi Madhava Dasa Michael Meshuris Purnama C Dasi Priyanka Sharma Radha Jivan Dasa Radha Mohan Savak Radha Patti Dasa Rohini Sudha Dasa Samath Kanta Dasi Sharanapa Espai Radar Vishvambara Priya Dasi Vidyazagar Lakand Vishal and Mun Mun Komer Vyasapada Dasa William Burdasa